On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, the Denver Nuggets are on to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history, and the media is in shambles. The media is the Lakers/Celtics media is really struggling with what is transpiring in the NBA right now. I am prepared to wake up tomorrow to see stories about how the Lakers have definitely, at long last, finally, after 4 games, figured out these Denver Nuggets. That seemed to be the focal point of every one of these games, is the Nuggets would win, and the story would be that the Lakers liked what they saw, even though they lost. It was a moral victory for the Lakers. But in the end, the Lakers got 4 moral victories. The Nuggets got 4 literal victories, and the Nuggets are moving on. LeBron was awesome, though. I will say, we got the LeBron James performance that I've been clamoring for these playoffs, just like trying to speak into existence. I thought it was going to happen in the Warriors series. I thought we were going to get one of these games. We got it tonight. To his credit, a guy who has been picking his spots really all season, tonight went into it and said, I'm going to play balls to the wall from the opening tip. He did that. He had 31 first half points. He ultimately ran out of gas. Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson have no concept of fatigue and were pulling their hair out screaming, why is LeBron not driving to the rim every single possession like he did in the first half? And as it turns out, is because he's very old and he played every second of this game basically. But it was awesome, and it felt like, it gave us the flashbacks of vintage LeBron. And even though it was a 3-0 series and it felt like, it was sort of meaningless because the Nuggets, even if it went to game 5, the Nuggets were probably going to win anyway. It ended up being a great game, and now the Nuggets move on to the finals, and that's great too. And we'll talk about that because I don't know, there is the narrative building that without the Celtics and Lakers, this finals is going to stink. The Celtics are not dead yet, or are they? I guess we could talk about that in the East as well. They completely have given up. I still think, as we sit here now, having just watched the Nuggets eliminate the Lakers, I still think the Lakers have a better shot than the Celtics of making the finals, even though the Lakers are literally eliminated, because the Lakers at least did not give up on their season in the way the Celtics did after game 3. But yeah, we're shit, my computer just turned off. Yeah, but we're getting down to the nitty gritty, just waiting for the NBA playoffs now. And the question I have is, are the Milwaukee Bucks officially off the hook? Because when the Bucks lost to the Heat, I felt like, I think I said on the show that the Bucks was worse than Purdue losing to Fairleigh Dickinson. I think I said that, didn't I?
Yes, something along those lines.
But now the Celtics losing it, this is worse than the Bucks. So is the Celtics losing worse? If the Celtics get swept, will that be worse than... I don't know. We'll have to talk that out. We'll have to figure that out. But these conference finals are not as interesting as we thought they would be. But yeah, I'm happy for the Nuggets. The Nuggets are a fun team. Anyway, we'll talk through it all. Let's just get to the show. Let's get to it. All right. I am in New York. We're in studio. The whole gang's here. Cody's here, sitting over there, jotting down notes, writing his manifesto, trying to figure out how the Celtics still have a path back, down 0-3. TJ is, I'm looking at this. It's good to be back. But the one thing that is not good is that I have surrounded myself with a lot of Boston people here at Barstool Sports. And the delusion that is running through this office is a sickness. And I don't know whether I should laugh, whether I should get help for them, whether we should stage some sort of intervention. It is absolutely wild to witness a group of people that are simultaneously shitting all over the Boston Celtics and saying this is the most embarrassed I've ever been as a fan. This is but then also saying, it's not over. We got him right where we want him, and yeah, it's been quite a trip. But we'll talk about the Celtics a little bit. I'd rather talk about the Nuggets winning tonight. But yeah, I'm in New York because we're doing the dozen tournament. No spoilers. Jeff D-Lo would kill me if I spoil. I got my Smockin shirt on, by the way. Smockin TC. No spoilers, but Smockin wins the whole goddamn thing. Yep. We do. And I apologize to Jeff. Live show in Chicago. June 8th, I believe. Is that?
Yeah, but it already we pre-recorded.
We pre-recorded it, and Smockin won.
Yeah.
Smockin won. Smockin, we won, and I was named MVP. So
nice.
I apologize for spoiling that. But yeah, Lakers game tonight. Lakers Nuggets. It felt like it was going to be a Lakers game. It felt like the Lakers maybe would. It felt like it had gentleman sweep written all over it. What is a gentleman sweep, by the way? I just said that, like, it just instinctively came out, but
you give them the first game and then you win 4 in a row, I think.
That's what I think people have different definitions for it.
That's what I think the definition.
Because it felt like, to me, this was a classic case of you go up 3-0, then you hand them game 4, so they get a win in front of the home crowd, and then you beat their brains in game 5. I feel like that's more of a gentleman's sweep.
It's a 4-1 series when usually you let them win in front of their home crowd.
You just give them one home win, but otherwise it's a 5 game. All right. But that's what it felt like this series was destined for. It felt like, especially out of the gate tonight, LeBron was locked in a way he hasn't been from the start, and throughout these playoffs, really. I mean, he's been picking his spots. He kind of did it in Game 2 in Denver, where he did the same thing and then ran out of gas in the fourth quarter, where that game everybody was running out of gas. But, that was kind of the story of the game, was LeBron was the one guy that said, fuck it, I'm the guy that has to deal with the legacy play of getting swept. I'm the guy that has to wake up tomorrow and turn on my TV and hear everyone talking about whether Michael Jordan would have got swept at 38 years old by these Denver Nuggets. So he balled out. It was fun, like I said at the top, like to convince yourself that maybe LeBron could continue to. That was, as annoying as it was to watch Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy pretend that LeBron was 27 years old again. I kind of understood where they were coming from, because the guy has set the bar so high. We have seen through the last 20 years, you've seen LeBron James not get fatigued in these moments and just continue to, if he scores 31 in the first half, it stands to reason he's going to score 32 in the second half, and you're thinking, oh my God, are we going to see a 60-point LeBron James game tonight? But then by the end, they didn't seem to understand that he was out. Everyone watching it felt like understood. I felt like Twitter understood, but for some reason Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy didn't seem to understand. I don't think Darvin Ham understood either. The Lakers are down 2. They draw up a play for LeBron. The penultimate possession for the Lakers, he shoots it off the side of the backboard, and then when there's 4 seconds left, he draws up basically the exact same play. Only this time Austin Reeves wasn't a decoy. At least the first time they had Austin Reeves inbound the ball, and then LeBron caught it and did like the fake handoff deal where Reeves serves as a decoy, and maybe you catch the defense jumping out and cheating a little bit to guard Reeves. The last one, they were like, we're not even going to do that. We're just going to give LeBron the ball and I don't know, hope that he steps into a time machine and becomes 27 years old again. He did not, and Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon bottled him up and blocked his shot. But the Lakers put up more of a fight than I expected them to, and I guess there's like a tip of the cap for that. But in the end, the Nuggets were just clearly a better. I mean, they swept them obviously, but I think what was fascinating was that every single game, it did feel like there was some sort of like moral victory for the Lakers. It felt like they game 1, we remember that Rui Hachimura was on Jokic towards the end of the game, and it was like 8 possessions, and Michael Malone was going crazy in the post-game press conference when he kept getting asked about it. Are you worried that the Lakers figured you out? And he's like, absolutely not. But that seemed to be the story of that game. And then game 2, it felt like, LeBron out of the gate was great. The defense was turned up for the Lakers. They kind of ran out of gas, but there felt like a sense of optimism around the Lakers. All right, they go back to L.A. They're down 0-2, but now you have the home crowd. Now you see like the matchups you like. If maybe Darvin Ham just benches D'Angelo Russell and maybe we tweak the lineups here and there, it's going to work out. Game 3 was just too much Jamal Murray in the fourth quarter like he does, and the Nuggets pulled away late because their offense is awesome, and even though it feels like it's close at the end, they just can turn it on late, and that's what they did in game 3. But then, like, for some reason, I don't think people thought coming into this game that there was a chance the Lakers are going to still win the series, but there still was like this like sense of like I don't. It must just be a Lakers Celtics thing where you just like when you're down 0-3, every other fan base is down 0-3. You're like, we're down 0-3, we suck. Yeah. You want to win one game just to not get embarrassed, but no one would talk about like we actually think we have a chance of winning this series. But for some reason, there did seem to be a sense of like if you remove all the good things the Nuggets have done and you only focus on those stretches where the Lakers were outplaying them, you could talk yourself into maybe the Lakers winning. And I felt like I was going crazy listening to these people talk about it this way.
On both sides of the country, too. It's like, I know, like, we talk about NBA script a lot on this show, My script was lit on fire weeks ago at this point. This is like exactly the opposite of what I thought would happen.
Galaxy Brain. So what if the script calls for the Lakers and Celtics to make the conference finals and then get swept so as to throw people off the scent forever? We have to give a moment in time for everybody to be able, for all the league offices to point to say it's clearly not scripted, because remember 2023 when the Lakers and Celtics
sacrifice year.
It's a sacrifice year. It's a storyline. Like you're setting it up so now you can script every single season moving forward.
Or writer strike.
Right, that's what it is. Yeah, the writers, it is crazy that there's 2 sweeps going on, TJ.
I think ABC has to be like pulling their hair out that they're about to have like a full week of no basketball to show. Like nobody's gonna even know the series is happening when
You're kind of right. It is twofold. They wanted one of the Celtics or the Lakers in there, or you want there to be a seamless transition from the conference finals into the finals. But
you have 8 days potentially with nothing, and then it's like, oh, it's the Nuggets Heat.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't have a problem with Nuggets Heat though. Like that, I don't. So like I understand the point of view of like you want the juiciest finals. Like this is something I talk about all the time with college basketball, where like I cheer for the Cinderellas the first weekend, and then the second weekend we cheer for the favorites because we don't want a Final Four, whether it's an 11 seed versus an 8 seed or something. You want the best teams ultimately there at the end. But to that point, I don't think that applies. It certainly doesn't apply in the West. The Nuggets are the better. The Nuggets were incredible all year. Like, so I'm confused by this idea that these finals will be boring. Other than, I get it from a jersey standpoint, a history standpoint. Like I understand all the storylines, but in terms of just the pure basketball standpoint, Heat Nuggets is going to be an incredible finals. The Nuggets. First of all, the Heat are averaging. I wrote it down somewhere. The Heat are averaging like 120 points a game. Yeah, I wrote this down because I was blown away. But yeah, they're averaging 120 points a game against one of the best defenses in the NBA. They're shooting 48% from three. The Heat are in this series. They are shooting 52% from the field as a team. Now, a lot of that had to do with Game 3. The Celtics just quit. But the reason they quit is because the Heat wouldn't miss, and like it's a snowball effect. But I think these finals are going to be incredible. I think the Nuggets are the most. I've said this a couple shows ago, and the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking, fuck it, I'm just going to double down on the take. The Nuggets do have 2015 Warriors vibes to me. They feel like Jokic tonight, the 2 shots he hit against AD, the shot clock buzzer, like he did in the to end the third quarter in Game 1, where he's on 1 foot fading away with the hand in his face and hit those 2 threes. I don't know what you can do but cackle and laugh. Like that reminds me of Steph when Steph was first coming onto the scene and just like making everybody like Steph by 2016 Steph was appointment television throughout the regular season, and I understand that it feels way premature to say this, but this is kind of the whole point, is like it felt premature in 2015. If you'd have told people in like 2015 that the Warriors are going to rip off all these titles and like Steph Curry is going to revolutionize basketball and all that sort of thing, you would have thought that was crazy too. So I'm not saying I think this is going to happen. I'm just saying the feeling I have watching the Nuggets in 2023 it feels very similar to the feeling I had watching the Warriors in 2015. Now, what happens from here? Do the Warriors have a Draymond Green? I don't know if Aaron Gordon really is on Draymond Green's level to like where, having that defensive anchor. I don't think he's quite as good. Like I don't expect the Nuggets to be as good as the Warriors were. I'm just talking about like the feelings, the vibes around it, the new player onto the scene that's playing a different way. There's a lot of doubt as to whether their style can get over the hump, and then they kind of just like cruise to a title, and then. I don't. Of course, if the Warriors go on to, or the Nuggets go on to win the title this year, of course you can envision a world where they rip off a couple in the next 5 years or so.
Especially if they go the route of the Warriors and they pick up.
Yeah, and then Kevin Durant signs with the Nuggets.
Well, that's I think that's like very much on the table too.
Jayson Tatum signs with the Nuggets.
Yeah.
But But that's like when I watch Jokic, that's all I can think. Like you just like think of like the guy. It's Jokic and Steph, or Jokic has got to that point where I just laugh. I've said that before, but I just like I was literally laughing out loud watching him hit shots on Anthony Davis. And they're just so freaking good, dude. They're so fun to watch. And on the Heat side of things, I mean, I've said it. I've been guilty of saying it the whole series. Just like everybody else, that I think the Celtics are more talented. But are we sure the Celtics are more talented at this point? Jimmy Butler is the best player on the floor. Jaylen Brown stinks at this point. Jaylen Brown, I wrote this down because this stood out to me. Jaylen Brown he was announced the All-NBA second team. That was on May 11th, right? And so when that happened, it triggered like the deal and like his, the way the NBA contracts work, where like if you make the All-NBA team, yada yada, you get more money, etc. That's why John Morant forfeited $39 million because he didn't make an All-NBA team because of the gun deal and whatever. When Jaylen Brown got announced on the All-NBA team, it was reported that he stood, like this became like a big story, that he is now eligible for the Supermax, where he will make $59 million a year.
Jesus Christ.
This was on May 11th. And the 5 games leading into May 11th, when he found this out, like he basically found out with everybody else that you will now be making $59 million a year on your next contract. He was averaging 23.6 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, 4 assists, shooting 57% from the field, 43% from 3. In the 5 games since then, he's averaging 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He is shooting 41% from the field, 21% from 3. So my question is Jaylen Brown counting his dollars and not paying attention to the task at hand? Do you think that because I think this may have actually affected him. I feel like this may have actually, like if someone told you before we do our next show you're going to make $59 million, I feel like you would be doing your job differently on the next show. He makes like 26 now, right? He's like, it's not like he's on the street right now, but that's an insane thing to dump on a guy.
Way too much money for anybody to learn all of a sudden they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
It's so hard to tell. Like, they shouldn't be playing as bad as they are. They shouldn't be. They should be winning the series.
I think Jimmy Butler just has him in the torture chamber mentally. I really think there's like,
oh yeah.
I think the Celtics at this point, they kind of hate each other. So the rest of America watches the Celtics, and even Celtics fans at this point are watching this team and saying this is a very unlikable group of players across the board. Even the guys that are likable, quote unquote, are like Malcolm Brogdon, I would say, is a likable guy. I loved Malcolm Brogdon at Virginia. I've loved him in the NBA. Very nice guy, easy to root for. But at the same time, when Malcolm Brogdon is down 0-3 and he's saying we still think we're a more talented team than the Heat, that does kind of rub you the wrong way. Even if you're a Celtics fan, I imagine that would rub you the wrong way. That you're like, this is entitlement is why we're down 0-3. Like, what if you approach this game as though we're not better and we have to play hard instead of like we're just going to show up and they're going to roll over for us? So if we all see that this is an unlikable team, maybe they themselves hate each other. Like maybe at this point.
So then what?
Like if maybe they all hate Grant Williams in the same way other people hate Grant Williams, and they hate Marcus Smart in the way that. And I don't think they respect Joe Mazzulla at all. I think that's evident. I think the players have zero respect. And I think Jimmy Butler is just feasting psychologically on this team. I think that's what's going on. And on top of it, the Heat are not a bad basketball team. And the Heat have... They do. I mean, the Heat culture thing. Like I've been coming to grips with it, like everybody else, where it's like it seems stupid, but the unselfish play. That's the thing too. Is like the Heat were so bad in that play-in game, but when you're watching them in Game 3, I don't know how you could watch Game 3 against the Celtics and how you could watch the Nuggets series against the Lakers and think that like if the Heat can play offense like they did against the Celtics in Game 3. That series is going to be incredible. The Heat were just dicing them up. Like Duncan Robinson's living in the paint. What? He's like driving on him, getting wide open layups, back cutting everybody. The ball's humming around. They don't care who shoots it. Jimmy Butler wasn't, like it wasn't like, it's not like they're winning every night because Jimmy Butler's scoring 40. That has happened in the past, obviously, but like they don't need. That's the misnomer, the misunderstanding, I guess, with this team. Not misnomer. that you need Jimmy Butler to carry you. They don't. They've just completely broken Boston to the point that, like, if Game 4 starts and the Heat hit like their first 3 shots, the Celtics might lose by 50. Yeah. They feel like they've completely quit.
They quit very fast, and it's like the Nuggets tonight. They came back so fast from down 15 points, and the Celtics just like have no life.
They throw in the towel. But Jimmy, between the Grant Williams thing where it looked like they were going to kiss there for a second, the timeout mocking of Al Horford. Did you see the clip where Marcus Smart said, "We stop talking so much. We beat you guys last year," and then Jimmy goes straight to the bench and he's like, he said they're buns.
Jimmy's incredible.
I think he's just like he's so far on a different level with the trash talk and like this, like, because the Celtics, as not only in this series but in every time I've ever talked about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I've had the same thought that, like, it feels like they're role playing what an NBA superstar is supposed to be. It feels like before the game that night, they read the manual, they read the instruction manual that said, if you are an NBA superstar, this is what you do, and then they go out and, like, you're trying to, like, emulate it instead of just being authentically that guy.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like Game 7 against the Sixers, Tatum understands the manual perfectly and executes it perfectly, but other times he doesn't, and it just feels like slightly off. And even when he's having like good games, it's like the charisma's not there. And Jimmy Butler is that dude. He is authentically that dude across the board. And the Celtics are just trying to play catch up. They were in the first 2 games trying to just catch up with him on the psychological level, and I think at this point the train is off the tracks, and that's what we're seeing now.
So are they just a lost cause? Like, obviously they're going to make a coaching change.
They have to make a coaching change.
Is that the solution? Like, I don't know how. At what point do you say, like, that's not what the issue is?
I think they do, but I don't know what. I guess that's the concern if you're the Celtics is I think it's pretty clear at this point. We've seen how many years of this core that they can't get over the hump, and at some point, like, not having a true ball handler, not having like a true facilitator is beyond all the, like, do they have the dog in them type conversations. Like, on an actual X's and O's skill level, as talented as they are, they don't have a guy that can create offense for others consistently over and over, or create offense for themselves, other than Jayson Tatum trying to do his step back, like, kind of robotic shit, which works because he's 6'8", 6'9", and can shoot over people. But, like, if he's not hitting those shots, he can't always get going to the rim, and Jaylen Brown can't dribble a basketball to save his life for whatever reason. And that's why they end up in so many situations where Marcus Smart is taking critical shots, is because he kind of is the de facto ball handler, which is not what he should be on this team. So, long story short, yeah, I think they got to make, like, some serious changes to the roster, because I think this is going to continue to happen if they keep, at a certain point, it is insanity. But then the question becomes, is going to the Eastern Conference Finals every single year. That's pretty damn good. And making the finals every so often, but never getting over the hump, that's pretty damn good. Now, if you do a hard reset and you trade for superstars, do you become, like, are you the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George suddenly, where you're like, we have a great team, or the Nets, where they would always get stars in, or like what the Suns have kind of become, where, they're not going to get over the hump either. Like, is this like the perpetual thing you're living in? I don't know. That's why I think Celtics fans are having a meltdown, is because they're having an identity crisis now. I think, like, getting bounced from the playoffs the last few years hasn't really been that big of a deal, because in their mind they're saying, we'll be back next year, we'll be back next year, we'll be back next year. And I think this is the first year where they realize, if we come back next year, we're fucked. If we come back with this team next year, we're fucked. But if we don't come back next year with this team, with this exact same team, who are we coming back with, and what does that look like? And there's just like an identity crisis.
Especially because they want to identify as a perpetual title threat, but when you don't win the title.
Here's a stat for you, Cody. Were you aware that since the ABA-NBA merger in 1977, which I think kind of should be the starting point of the NBA, I think, like, when you have multiple professional basketball leagues in this country and you're claiming NBA championships when, like, the ABA is also a massive league, I think most respected historians would start their history books for the NBA in 1977 when the merger happened. Since that merger, the Boston Celtics have been swept in the playoffs 5 times. If they lose tomorrow night, it will be number 6. That'll be 6 times that the Celtics have been swept. Since the merger in 1977, the Boston Celtics have won 4 NBA titles. What this means is that you are more likely, since the NBA, the modern version of the NBA has existed, the ABA has been merged into the NBA, you are more likely to have seen the Boston Celtics get swept out of the playoffs than win an NBA championship. And yet somehow in that city, the expectation has become that they should win an NBA championship. When really they should be expecting to get swept. That's what the Celtics should be expecting. You should be going into every series saying we're going to get swept, because that's far more likely than actually winning the NBA championship.
They should those horrible mission accomplished shirts that they're impossible shirts that they've been wearing. That's their mission, is to get swept in the playoffs.
It dawned on me, because like being here in the office and like interacting with like multiple Celtics fans at a time, and like kind of like I was watching the game last night with Hank, and he's like having a full blown meltdown, and just kind of hearing how he's talking about it and like trying to like he is every single Celtics fan is both saying I hate this whole team, blow it up, like fire everybody, this is disgusting, I've never been more embarrassed, but also everybody suck our dicks when we come back from down 0-3 and win the championship, and and somehow they don't see that like you can't have both thoughts, but they do have both thoughts and think that that's okay. But it dawned on me that this is a city that basically had Tom Brady play quarterback for them, and because of that they think that it matters for that makes their like basketball. It makes the whole city special, really, because Tom Brady took snaps for the New England Patriots. That makes the entire city of Boston special, as though that has any bearing whatsoever on the Boston Celtics, the Boston Bruins. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, if I see another Boston fan point out that the Red Sox were down 0-3 once and came back against the Yankees, as though a baseball team in 2004 has any fucking relevance to a basketball team in 2023. It's insane. And somehow they get away with this. Somehow, like they don't think they're crazy for this.
I was going to say, to their credit, they do have the 2 biggest playoff comebacks in sports history.
Who does? Does Jayson Tatum? Does Jaylen Brown? Does Joe Mazzulla?
The biggest baseball and the biggest Super Bowl comeback in sports history. Unfortunately, none of those players play basketball.
Exactly.
So that's where they're kind of in a pickle. I don't know. Sports fandom is like so like adjacent to sports insanity that I could totally see why a Boston fan would want to justify it.
I don't have a problem with Boston fans being sad. I don't have a problem with them you should be kind of. It would suck to enter this season thinking you have a team that's worthy of winning an NBA championship, and now you're on the verge of being swept by an 8 seed. I do think, as much as I like to get under the Celtics fan skin, I do think that is a valid. I'm not saying that's irrational. What is irrational to me is just the superiority that the idea that they're going to come back from 0-3 instead of let's just not embarrass ourselves in game 4. It's the puff in the chest. And it seems to be across the board. I don't know. Maybe it's just a Barstool thing. Maybe it's just only the people that work here. But it does. I'm like stunned. This is, if my team was down 0-3 and you asked me going into game 4, how do I feel? I'd be like, honestly, I just don't want to lose by 30 again. I just want I want to see some sort of fight. I would not be like, we're winning in 7, damn it. We're definitely going to win in 7 because we're the better team and we're going to go prove it. Even though we're shooting 29% from the 3-point line in this series, even though Luke Cornett is the 4th leading scorer in this series. That's a fact, by the way. Luke Cornett is the Celtics' 4th leading scorer in this series against Miami. The one thing the Celtics haven't done, which is play 48 minutes of great basketball in this series, I think they're going to do it 4 straight times, and then they're going to do it 4 more times in the NBA Finals, and we're going to win the championship. And that is what drives me crazy as a neutral observer. That's just what makes you think this is a franchise that has won 1 title since 1986? What makes you think that this is going to happen now? At least with the Patriots, you see that's why I go crazy, because Tom Brady came back from down 28-3 in a Super Bowl one time. You think that now the Boston Celtics, a team that very obviously quit on national television, has no heart whatsoever, is going to come back from down 0-3 to beat the Heat. I don't know. It blows my mind. And also, like, on top of it, I think I get triggered by, like, the Celtics. Somewhere along the line, Celtics fans got convinced that they are like the Celtics are the LeBron stopper, and Celtics own LeBron, and the Celtics are the LeBron kryptonite. And this man, I looked this up today because, like, I got caught in a conversation with I forget who it was someone behind the scenes that works here that was telling me that, like, they're taking solace in the fact that at least LeBron is also getting swept, and the Celtics own there's a rivalry with LeBron, and we own LeBron and all that sort of thing. And I was like, I don't feel like, I mean, I know that they beat him, like, when he was on the Cavs, so I was like, but I sort of feel like that LeBron beat the Celtics a lot. So I looked it up. LeBron is 5-2 in playoff series against the Celtics. He's won his last 5. He's 5-0 in the last 5 playoff series against the Celtics. The Celtics won 2 series against LeBron when he was on the Cavs, where Mo Williams was his best teammate that he had. Then he goes to Miami and then beat the shit out of him. And then he comes back to the Cavs and beat the shit out of him. And, like, somehow the Celtics fans are like, we own LeBron.
We own ringless LeBron.
LeBron still hasn't won a real ring, and we own him. So anyway, that's where I'm at with this. I don't know if just the delusion that is coming from this place is on another level, and it's coming from inside this room. That's what's crazy. Is Cody is just looking at me. He's like, his eyes are shooting darts at me right now. Like, just wait, bro. Just wait to see what we have up our sleeve.
You will look like a big idiot if they do make a comeback.
Quick break to talk about the Barstool Sportsbook. The Barstool Sportsbook is now offering a $1,000 bonus for new players. If your first bet loses, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So download and create an account today like I did. I got the Barstool Sportsbook right here on my phone. I'm thumbing through here. A lot of sport. Listen to all these sports you can bet on right now on the Barstool Sportsbook. The NBA, have you heard of that? NHL playoffs going on. MLB, the Premier League. Soccer is a sport that you can bet on the Barstool Sportsbook. Tennis, the PGA Tour, NASCAR, UFC, Formula One. Even NFL. Do I see NFL futures? The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are the favorites on the Barstool Sportsbook to win the NFL championship, as it's worded on the Barstool Sportsbook. Rightfully so. They met last year but you can if you're a football guy and you're itching for some football and you're saying to yourself, I don't know much about basketball or hockey or the PGA Tour, go lay a little money on who you think's going to go all the way in the NFL. You can do that on the Barstool Sportsbook. Any sport you can imagine, you can bet on the Barstool Sportsbook. If you know sports as well as I do, because I know sports. I'm a sports guy. You probably love sports. And if you love sports, why not make some money on sports? Why not download the Barstool Sportsbook? Use code Titus to unlock a $1,000 bonus. Go download it, create an account today. Use code Titus, unlock a $1,000 bonus. Terms apply. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, can they make a comeback? Don't
entertain it. What's this at? In like 179 and 0-3 series or something?
Well, the difference. So the thought, like, if you're trying to talk yourself into it, you're saying, like, the same sort of stuff was said about 16 seeds not being able to beat one seed in the NCAA tournament. Someone mentioned that to me today, like, or I overheard it, or I don't know. I heard that at some point in this office today. Someone said, but they said the same thing about 16 seeds, and now look, it's happened twice in the last 5 years. That's one game. That's not 4 straight games of the scouting reports that go into it. Like at this point, this is why I was going crazy after game 1, where the Lakers beat the Nuggets beat the Lakers, but it felt like the Lakers had figured some stuff out with the Nuggets, as though the Lakers would be the only team that would come away from game 1 having found matchup that they liked, having found defensive things that they're going to adjust. The Nuggets were doing the exact same thing, and with that, like, that's how the Heat are approaching the Celtics as well. It's not like the Celtics, even if they decide, first of all, they have to decide to give a shit, which, like, that's like 50-50 going into game 4, whether they're going to care at all. But even if they care, it's not like the Celtics can just look at what the Heat are doing and say, okay, now let's fix this and we'll be good. Like the Heat are also going to say this matchup that we've identified, which is at this point literally every matchup on the court. They're also, but this is why it was absurd that ESPN, which has now like every corner of the internet is completely destroyed ESPN for their BPI bullshit. But this is why it was absurd from the start, is you could give Eric Spoelstra this UConn team that won the title this year, and you're coaching against Joe Mazzulla, a 34-year-old that's never been a head coach before. I mean, I would probably at that point give him a 3% chance. I think that would have made a lot of sense. If you took this year's UConn team with Eric Spoelstra coaching against a Joe Mazzulla coach Boston Celtics, I would say, okay, 3% at that point. But yeah, I don't at this point, like this, the Heat do look the part. It's an incredible run, and like the conversation now, I've seen people shift towards the regular season stuff, which we were talking about. We've been talking about for a while, of like the regular season, the Heat going on this run as a play-in team undermines the entire regular season, and I don't know what the NBA does about that, because I think the playoffs have been good, and I think the finals are going to be great, and I think the Heat story is good, because I think like the positives of the Heat doing this, even though a lot of the media is freaking out and saying like this is bad to have an 8 seed and we need, you know, to have all these undrafted players, which like every time the Heat play, that seems to be the big thing that they're hammering. The graphic was hilarious. I don't know if you saw
their highest draft pick was Cody Zeller.
The at one point it was Boston Celtics 35, undrafted points for the Heat 33 in game 3. But I think the positive that comes out of this Heat run is that hopefully, like the NBA discourse, and I'm saying hopefully knowing full well this is not going to happen, but hopefully the rest of the league looks at this, that what the Heat are doing, and say we don't have to follow the model of collecting superstars, or not that going undrafted, not that putting a team full of undrafted players is the path to win an NBA championship, but I like the idea of introducing a bunch of different styles. I mean, this is one of the things when I talk about the difference between college and the NBA, and why I skew towards college, is one of the big things I think that works in favor of college basketball is that there are a lot of coaches across the country with a lot of different styles, and all of them think that their way is the way to win a national championship, and a lot of them are right. A lot of them can win a national championship with their style, whereas the NBA is more homogenized with the approach. And I think having a Heat, not just this year, but like this run that they've been on, they took the Celtics to 7 games last year, and in the bubble they were in the finals. I think having this core of unheralded dudes, and having kind of a committee of guys that step up on any given night, I think that's good for the league, because I think it shows that like you can do it in different ways, and you can, I don't know if it's great for the regular season though. I think that's going to be, I think unfortunately this is just going to be the new normal. Now the flip side, like I talked about going into this year's playoffs, I think the playoffs moving forward are going to be that much more awesome, because I think next regular season is going to suck more than this year's regular. I think it's just the divide's just going to get wider and wider, which is why Adam Silver's trying to throw in a midseason tournament, which I still don't really fully understand what that is, but whatever. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the Heat run, is like the regular season now. They've kind of just spit in the face of like they barely even made the playoffs at all. They lost on their home floor to Trae Young, and they almost lost to the Bulls. That was a close game. That's pretty crazy to think about. They almost
the Bulls should have deserved a back end spot, or
what if the Bulls would have made it
or second place or something?
The Bulls, if this was college basketball, the Bulls would be arguing that we need to expand the field.
Yeah,
that we need more teams in there, because obviously we hung with the Heat, and the Knicks fans are trying to do that a little bit. By the way, okay. I'm seeing a little too much of that. A little too much of should we hang a banner in Madison Square Garden that we hung with the Heat better than the Bucks and Celtics did? And to that I say, I don't know. I guess
the run on people that trying to claim second place in the East is kind of sad.
I think the Celtics do have to blow it up though. I think they gotta. I think
they're not going to though.
But they're not going to. But that's so much money to give Tatum and Brown. That's so much money, and they're so obviously not the answer. They're so young but they're not that young. They're talked about the optimistic Celtics fans talk about these guys like they're just going to add stuff to their game. But at this point, I think we've reached a point where they are who they are, and they can get slightly better. But it's not like Jaylen Brown's going to show up in next year's playoffs and be breaking dudes off in ISO situations and being a playmaker. And like, that's just not going to happen. That's just not who this man is. And he can be a very good player. And like, I do think, as much as I like to rip on Tatum, like, and I have in the past thought that Brown has been better than Tatum for a lot of stretches in playoff basketball and playoffs past for the Celtics. Tatum is not the issue for the Celtics in this series. I mean, he has not made a single field goal in the fourth quarter in 3 games, which is fucking wild. But Jaylen Brown is the biggest issue. Defensive intensity in general is the biggest issue. Joe Mazzulla is. It's crazy that this will be talked about, I'm sure, all offseason. Like, why I thought it was crazy that he was hired in the first place. I don't really understand it. I have nothing against Joe Mazzulla, but just the idea. I felt this way about Darvin Ham too, but at least he's a little older and has been around the block. But it was shocking to me that the Los Angeles Lakers and Boston Celtics were coached by 2 dudes that have never really been head coaches before. It just seems crazy. But excuse me, we're in a new era of basketball, and I said the same thing about Duke and North Carolina. The fact that like you have all these historic basketball brands that are coached by guys that have never really been head coaches before. The Mazzulla move seemed wild at the time, as if they do in fact get swept. Even if they don't get swept, I mean, this is the end of the line for the Celtics. They're not going to make the finals. They're not going to win the championship. Whatever. I assume Mazzulla is going to be fired. It's crazy to think that basically what I'm getting at is it's crazy to think that Ime Udoka's penis changed the course of basketball history forever. That's crazy to think about. It's crazy to think. It's also crazy that when I think about the Udoka thing, that he did something that like we still don't know what the story is, which is people. I mean, I know what the story is, obviously, because I'm like plugged into the NBA circles, and like, you know, I knew what the story was right away. I just can't say it on the show, which is somehow what everybody's doing. Like every single NBA person that covers the sport is like, yeah, we all know what happened, but we just can't say it, and it's very confusing as to why we can't. Somehow Ime Udoka did something that was so bad that he wasn't really suspended. He was like immediately fired. Like there wasn't like a lengthy investigation. It wasn't like, you know, they took the interim tag off of Mazzulla immediately, and he was hired as the head coach, and Udoka was fired. It was a snap of a finger type deal. It was so bad that they knew right away, we got to fire this guy. But it was not so bad that he could get hired immediately by the Rockets. So the Rockets hired him immediately. It was bad enough that the media is like too scared to report it, like I said. No one really wants to talk about it because it feels like the people that do know what happened want to like kind of nudge, wink what it is, and like trying to like hint at what it is, but they don't want to be the person that like breaks the story, which is really bizarre because I thought that's what media was for. But like people don't want to insert themselves in the story. For the first time ever, we have media people that don't want to be the focal point. Like no one wants to like go on a podcast and be like, I heard what Ime Udoka did. It was this, say the story, and then now like you're thrown in the middle of it as like the guy who was gossiping about what was going on. So it's like somehow bad enough that like everyone wants to avoid it, but then it's not bad enough to like, there was never like a criminal investigation to my knowledge. There was never like I'm so confused as to what the hell's going on here. I'm so confused how there hasn't been one person that's been like, here's the story. It's not that interesting. There are obviously a ton of rumors floating around. I don't even want to like touch on what the rumors are because that's not fair. And like if anybody watched Brad Stevens' press conference when all this went down, and he was like literally tearing up because so many women's lives were ruined basically for that 1 week that worked for the Celtics because all the rumors are just flying all over the place. But I think like, yeah, I've heard things, everybody's kind of heard things, but that's like one of the weirdest things that will go down as one of the weirder stories I can ever remember. That like when it broke, it was Matt Barnes, right? That was like in his car making a video. It was Matt Barnes. He's like driving in his car and he's like shaking his head. He's like, "Oh boy,
if only you knew," or something.
Knew what I know, boy. They would throw him under the jail. They would throw. Oh my God, and you're thinking, all right, well, this is going to be the most explosive story ever. It never really comes out. I don't at this point really need to know. It's just like I don't know. At this point, like I will admit that I only want to know just to be a gossipy little bitch. Like it doesn't, like the story. What's happened. He's out with the Rockets. The Celtics have moved on, all that sort of thing. But when you look at a team that kept feeling like they were about to get over the hump, they make the finals last year. There was no guarantee that they were going to. Like I said, the roster construction still had issues. They still didn't have a ball handler. You still worry about whether Tatum can consistently bring in, Jaylen Brown can consistently bring in, all that sort of thing. But it stands to reason that if Ime Udoka was coaching this team, they would not be getting swept by an 8 seed. I think that's a fair assumption to make. And for that reason, I will always wonder, what if Ime Udoka just kept it in his pants? What would have happened? Would the Boston Celtics have won their second title since 1986? Would they have finally matched the number of titles won since 1977 as the number of times swept since 1970? That's what you got.
History.
So, with history, would they hang that banner?
I think Missoula needs to consider what would have happened if he watched The Town 4 times a week instead of 3 times a week.
That's a bullshit story, right? Like we're like, I mean, what?
The most like lofty possible thing you could say to try and get Boston fans on, and it worked. Boston fans on your side, like that, no one can check.
But it backfired because now I feel like every Boston fan's like, are we gonna watch film at any point, or are you just watching?
Yes, we're gonna watch film. The film is called The Town.
Oh, The Town. What if you watch? Yeah, I think he watched The Town one time. He watched. There was 1 week in his life that he watched The Town 3 times, and then he said that it came out wrong, and then he was just caught in a lie and was like, I guess I gotta own this. I guess I'm The Town. Or like, what is lamer to you, that he's telling the truth or that he's lying?
Yeah.
Because him lying about this is very, very lame. But then also, if somehow he actually does watch The Town 3 times. Do you watch? Cody doesn't have a microphone. Do you watch The Town? Have you seen? Is this like I've seen The Town, but like, is this like a? Is that like the Boston movie? Would we say?
I think like Boston Hardo. It's like the Boston Hardo.
It's the Boston Hardo movie. I've seen it and I understand like the reason Boston rep, but I didn't know if it was like the Boston movie or if it was a Boston movie. Because I thought Boston Strong was it Boston Strong? What was Fever Pitch?
That's
Fever Pitch.
Jimmy Fallon.
Boston Strong was the when the bombing happened, right? I don't know why I thought that feels like. Did they make a movie called that though? I think they did, right? I gotta look this up. This is the problem with these. Stronger.
Gyllenhaal?
The Jake Gyllenhaal, yeah. Jake, I knew there was a movie, yeah. Fever Pitch is what I was thinking of though. Jimmy Fallon. They made a movie about the Boston Red Sox curse, and Jimmy Fallon was in it for some reason. Fun times. I mean, are you excited for the finals, TJ? Does the Heat, Nuggets?
Am I allowed to say no?
Yeah, you are, because you kind of represent like You watched zero NBA before I came on board at Barstool, right?
I'm not a casual NBA watcher. No,
you're not even a casual NBA watcher.
It's like I know the storylines and follow, but mostly I'm not like sitting down and watching.
So that qualifies as like a diehard NBA fan at this point.
Yeah. I watch like the Christmas games.
Yeah,
just because gambling, but that's about it.
I guess that's why everybody's complaining, because LeBron versus the Celtics sells, and
I'm a big storyline guy, right?
Jimmy Butler, an 8 seed versus a big sloppy man in a Canadian. It doesn't really move the needle for people. There's nothing worse than going to a doctor's appointment expecting to be the center of attention, and then your doctor seems like they have better things to do and better places to be. Instead of listening to you intently, asking you how you feel, and helping you along, the doctor is checking the clock. On Zocdoc, you find quality doctors who focus on you, listen to you, and prioritize your care. Zocdoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. No more doctor roulette or scouring the internet for questionable reviews. With Zocdoc, you you have a trusted guide to connect you to your favorite doctor you haven't even met yet. Millions of people use Zocdoc's free app to find and book a doctor in their neighborhood who is patient-reviewed and fits their needs and schedule just right. So go to Zocdoc.com/Titus, download the Zocdoc app for free, then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's Zocdoc.com/Titus, Zocdoc.com/Titus. I know a lot of people listening are like me. You hate the doctor. It's a huge pain. There's so many hoops to jump through. There's so many unknowns. You don't know if you're going to find someone you like. You don't know if they're going to be any good at this. Make it easy on yourself. Go to Zocdoc.com/Titus. Download the Zocdoc app for free today. Take care of your health. Let Zocdoc help you.
I'd like to see Jimmy Butler and Luka play like 40 minutes one-on-one. I would watch that, I think.
Jimmy Butler and
Jokic.
Yeah.
Just play one-on-one just to see what that would even look like. But the idea of like waiting 8 days potentially, and then that's like the reward is like, oh, finally we get to watch. I don't know. This it's not really, there's nothing like it's super compelling about it to me.
Yeah.
Which maybe
Nuggets winning their first title doesn't do it for you. See, this is the problem, is because people hate dynasties. They think they hate the dynasties, but then you take the dynasties away, and then they're sad. People love blue bloods. They just don't want to admit it. And Cody's over there nodding along. He's like, yeah, exactly. That's why we need the Celtics in the finals. The Celtics. No. What are you holding up? 7? 7. What does that mean? Oh, it's going to 7? You're going to win in 7? All right. I was thinking about this too. Jayson Tatum is definitively not a Wembanyama. I would not trade the number 1 pick for Jayson Tatum at this point. I've seen enough. I thought more on this because we talked about this after the lottery, and I should have like actually thought it out a little more.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, I felt like Tatum was a good just litmus test. That's where like the debate would start, because Tatum is obviously very good and he is 25 years old, and there's still, as much as you may have hit a ceiling or not, like his ceiling's pretty fucking good. Like, you're going to get a ton of production out of him in a way that Wembanyama, I don't know, he might break his foot like Chet Holmgren did before he even steps on the floor, and suddenly the calculus changes on all that. I think I've seen enough. I'm out on Tatum, and I was thinking through my list of Wembanyama, like who would the Spurs trade Wembanyama for? If I was running the Spurs, who would I trade it for? And I think it's Giannis and Jokic, and I think that might be it. I think Luka would be on a lot of people's lists. I'm worried Luka. I'm not there with Luka yet, and I'm not there with Luka yet. The fact that Jalen Brunson. Like the fact that like the idea behind Luka is like he needs more help, and Jalen Brunson was on the team last year and was incredible, and then he goes to New York and he's incredible. Like Luka just feels like a kind of a black hole of I need to see the Mavericks left a really bad taste in my mouth, and Luka's an incredible talent obviously, but Wembanyama is an incredible talent too. I need to see Luka like actually. He's been good in the play. Like this is the problem with the people that love Luka, but he has been awesome, like historically awesome at times in the playoffs, and I don't think he's I don't think it's a case of like Luka not having the dog in him, so to speak. I think Luka is an incredible player, but his luster is starting to wear off, I think, on a lot of people, and I think he's starting to like that's what happens when you get a guy like him and a guy like Tatum that there's so much promise put on them at such a young age that you keep pointing to, you keep like making excuses as they're younger, because you're like, they're still young, and then you look up and they're in their mid-20s, and Luka is 24, isn't he? Yeah, Luka's 24 at this point, Tatum's 25, and that's not to say that they're fully developed. This is the best we'll ever see them, but I think at this point they are entering their peaks. And I don't think I'm trading Wembanyama for Luka. What I've seen, I think Luka will get you an insane stat line, but I'm not there yet with him in a way that you are with Jokic and Giannis. I think that's my list, is Jokic and Giannis, and that's it.
Luka, I think, is one of those guys that people talk about, basketball players that don't love basketball.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Luka's also been gaining weight at like a very, very rapid pace, like a Zion-esque pace. That
the whining to the refs, which like shouldn't matter, but like for some reason, like the whining to the refs and the flopping is like annoying as shit and shouldn't matter, and actually should be a positive, because I do think that's like part of the modern NBA. It's like doing that stuff actually makes you a better player. But I don't know. I feel like Luka was like a fancy new toy for NBA fans, and he was a fun new novelty, and like he was great. He's still great. He still puts up insane numbers and is awe-inspiring, but I think the novelty is worn off, and now it's like shifted into expectations, and I feel like we're a couple years away from having the conversation of like, is Luka like not going to meet the expectation we had for him when he entered the league at 19 years old. So yeah, that's my list. Giannis and Jokic. I think that's it. So anyway, is there anything else?
Thomas Bryant. He was on the Lakers this year. He was in the photo trying to call the ball off from LeBron before he broke the scoring record.
That's right. Yeah, he's on the Nuggets now, right?
He is on the Nuggets, so he got his revenge.
That's right on LeBron.
It's not important how many minutes he played in the series.
Indiana Hoosier. Hey, speaking of
0 minutes.
Speaking of men playing minutes, Tristan Thompson getting a lot of burn tonight. Oh my God. I said that as a joke going into the series. I was like, well, you know, the Lakers don't have a ton of big dudes. Maybe AD gets in foul trouble and we throw Tristan Thompson out there. No, they're not going to throw Tristan Thompson out there. But down 0-3, why not? And he played well for him, I thought. I thought he gave him good minutes. Yeah, that was Anthony Davis was ultimately disappointed in this series. I think he's pretty good defensively, but I think Jokic broke him in that, and I think that 3 in the third quarter of game 1.
Yeah,
psychologically, it'd be hard not to. D'Angelo Russell was a scapegoat though for the Lakers, isn't he? I mean, he's the one that's getting killed.
He's getting cooked.
Which I won't defend him, but I at the same time, the Lakers wouldn't have been, like, they needed him. They wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. That's the bitch of it. Is like and the same sort of thing with Jordan Poole, where like you're good enough. You're just good enough to piss everybody off that you're not better. And I think the problem too of like being a D'Angelo Russell on a team like the Lakers, where their identity is so tied to defense and playing so hard and all that sort of thing, and you're seeing LeBron be gassed at the end of these games because he's playing so hard, and then you'll see D'Angelo Russell on defense just kind of swipe at a ball, and which honestly like wouldn't be that big of a problem if not for him also thinking it's his time to light it up on the other end, and then he bricks shots, and yeah, he had a rough series. He had a very rough series, and the Buckeye in me wants to defend him, but all I'll say, the only defense I can come up with is that they wouldn't have been in this position. Would you rather him stunk it up against the Warriors or against the Grizzlies to where the Lakers wouldn't even been here? At least he got them single-handedly. No, he did win. What game was it that he won? It was one of the Warriors games, right? Or was it that to the Grizzlies? I don't know. The playoffs are all blending together, but he balled out like a couple games. But that's the bitch of it. You play well, they expect more, TJ. That's why I try to just
lay low,
man. Just do your job well enough, and no one will notice or care. Be Tristan Thompson. Just come in and give some good minutes, and that's all that matters. And everyone will walk away being like, that's what the Darvin Ham's probably looking at the film, and he's like, honestly, if this was a 9-game series, I like our chances to win the next 5 because I'm going to play Tristan Thompson a little more. We're gonna listen to Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson and just make LeBron put his head down and drive to the basket every single possession for 48 minutes at 38 years old. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Jokic waiting for him underneath.
Yeah. What else? Is that it? Oh, shout out Carmelo Anthony retiring. Legend. Carmelo is an absolute legend of USA basketball, first and foremost. I think when you hear Carmelo Anthony, what do you think first? Probably Syracuse or USA?
What jersey do you see him in? Like what jersey is he enshrined in the Hall of Fame? Like, what does he go in as?
So the candidates are. This is a good exercise. Let's talk through this. I picture Carmelo Anthony in an Oak Hill jersey because it starts there for me. It starts in high school when he was playing at Oak Hill. I picture him in Syracuse. I picture him in USA. It's Denver Nuggets. It's New York Knicks. That's it.
He played for a lot of teams.
Like
a shocking amount of teams when you actually think about it.
But when I think NBA, that's it. It's Nuggets and Knicks. That's it.
Yeah.
So those are the 5. It's high school, it's college, it's USA, it's Nuggets, and it's Knicks. And I think Syracuse is number 1 for me. If you say Carmelo Anthony, the first thing I think of is 2003. Maybe it's because I'm a college guy, but he kind of he created the one and done model. He created and as more time has gone on, and we've seen one and done teams, which they weren't even a one and done team. He was a one and done guy on a team. Like, it wasn't like that whole team was full of one and done guys, but as more time has gone on and we've seen more one and dones in college basketball not win a national championship, not make a Final Four, not have great success in a way that, like, once the one and done era started, you sort of felt like that was, I mean, it started with the Ohio State team I was on. Like, that was the first year of guys being forced to go to college, and you have a team of Greg Oden, Mike Conley, and Daquan Cook going to the national championship. And Florida beat us. We didn't win it, but like there was sort of a sense, because then the next year was Derrick Rose in Memphis in 08, and like that felt like this was, and then John Wall and goes to Kentucky, like that it felt like this was like sort of going to be the new thing, was like, just get the best recruits and you will go win a national championship. And it really hasn't really happened that way. It's 2015 Duke, it's 2012 Kentucky, and it's Carmelo Anthony in 2003, and those are the examples we have. And looking back on it, like, that Syracuse team, talent-wise, is not even close to. I mean, 2012 Kentucky has not aged well. It's aged well for Anthony Davis's legacy, but like, that roster at the time, we felt like it was really good. But if you look back on that 2012 roster, it's woof. It's pretty crazy that was it. Now that we think about it, like, it's crazy that that's the one title that Cal won was with the 2012 team, and that was the one title that Boeheim won was the 03 team. Like, they had the transcendent. They both had the one guy, obviously, the best player they've ever coached. So maybe it shouldn't be so surprising. But the rest of the rosters, I mean, no offense to Keem Warwick and Jerry McNamara, and like, they're good players, but like, it wasn't like that Syracuse team was like littered with legends like some of the other national champions we've seen, or never mind legends, just like stack up that Syracuse team versus other Syracuse teams that Jim Boeheim has coached. And it's wild that was the team that broke through. Just like it's wild that, like, the 2012 team on paper for Kentucky, on paper alone, is what, like the 6th best team probably that Cal's coached. And they're the one that won. And none of these other ones can get him over the hump. I'm going Syracuse. I'm going USA. Then it becomes Nuggets, or I think it's probably Knicks. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I think that.
What would your number 1 be?
I guess USA. I don't. It's just like,
it's pretty sick that like that's not insignificant to me, that like he became like the face of USA basketball, like, right, the guy that's gonna ball out for us. And yeah, that he became like almost a meme. Like, it was like USA, USA like, Melo. Hoodie Melo was another thing.
Olympic Melo. Hoodie Melo created like a whole realm of like hoodie blank. It was like, that created a whole genre of athlete.
Yeah.
The guy throws on a hoodie, all of a sudden it's like, oh, Tom Brady's got a hoodie on. That's going to change things.
But having I went on this rant about Wembanyama too, that like I want to care deeply. I think caring about USA basketball would be very cool, and unfortunately most of this country is just kind of numb to it because we're so dominant through, you know, and a lot of the players are numb to it as well. So to have a guy like Melo who always tried and always cared, like, and always approached it as though it was like a different game than the NBA, because like, so that's kind of how we got into the problem of like in the 04 Olympics. And that stretch we had where in 08 they had to become the redeem team to like get us back on track, was because there was that stretch where guys were just showing up and treating it like it was the NBA, and it's like very obviously not the NBA, and they would try to pull off moves that they pull off in the NBA, and they're getting called for travels and losing their minds at the refs, and you know, the balls are getting swatted off the rim, and it's like goaltend's not being called, and these Europeans are doing head fakes and like fucking you got like Arvydas Sabonis type dudes out there just like throwing the ball over their shoulder, and they're just like, what the fuck is going on? And to have a guy like Melo who like approached it as though it was a different game and like respected that, at least that was cool. I don't know, that was like it's we need more of that. I'm hammering the alarm bell again that we're going to be we are going to lose one of these Olympics coming up. One of the next 3 Olympics we will not win gold. I hope we do, but I think that's going to happen, and I think we got to lock the fuck back in as a country. Quick break to talk about the Gametime app, the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, created by fans for fans. Gametime is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. Here's an example of a show you can go to. Here's an example of Gametime at work. It's Friday morning. I'm in Los Angeles, California. For some reason, it did not click with me that Dead & Company would be playing at the Kia Forum that night. I knew when Dead & Company announced their tour that I would be going to their show in Boulder, Colorado in July. I had circled that as the date. I said I will be going in early July to the Folsom Field show. And then I just glossed over when they'll be in Los Angeles. So I wake up on Friday morning. I'm on some sort of social media app. I see that Dead & Company are going to be in the Forum tonight. That's just down the road from me. I go to Gametime. I look up tickets. I find a ticket. I get a ticket for the cheapest price you could find anywhere. I go to the concert, and it is the best concert I've ever been to in my life, and I had a hell of a time, and all of it was possible with the Gametime app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. The purchase process takes just 2 taps and 10 seconds, and once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone. No printer needed. The app also allows you to easily share tickets with friends via text, so you can get into the game seamlessly. Skip the hassle, enjoy the moment. Download the Gametime app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code Titus for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Gametime app or go to barstool.link/Gametime app, enter your email, and redeem code Titus for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Gametime. And we might need Melo to coach us. That might be his next. That might be the next move. Get Melo on the coaching staff.
Here's what I'll say about his NBA legacy. I think if he shows up to a game in Denver in the finals, then he's announcing that he's claiming Denver.
He's claiming Denver.
I think for now he's made it clear that he claims New York.
But if he shows up in Miami and he's celebrating the Knicks giving Miami taking Miami to 6 games in a way that none of the other teams could, then he's cheering for the Knicks. He's obviously a Knicks.
Shows up in a Knicks jersey in Miami.
In Miami. That's one thing about picturing Melo in the Nuggets jersey, though. He wore 15 for the Nuggets, and Jokic wears 15.
Ooh.
So can you picture Melo in... When you're picturing Melo in the Nuggets jersey, are you actually picturing Melo in a Jokic jersey before Jokic got there? He was just a big Jokic fan before everyone else. That's pretty crazy. Like 2 of the best players in the history of the franchise wore the same number.
That's a pretty decent point against him being like a legendary Nugget, though.
He can't get his jersey retired,
right? Yeah.
Well, the Knicks aren't going to retire his jersey. Although that's why I don't know. With the Knicks, you never know. The Knicks, when the franchise is in the streets celebrating,
the Heat might retire his jersey. They've got Jordan's jersey retired.
Did they retire? I've done this before. I've talked about this on one of my shows before. But who all did the Heat retire? Was it just Jordan?
I think that they might have like some Olympic.
Because I thought they had like Dan Marino's jersey retired.
Yes.
Is Dan Marino's jersey in the? But then Bam wears 13, so it's like obviously not retired, but it's just hanging in the rafters. I gotta look this up. This is. I swore they had. Yeah, they have Marino, Jordan, Shaq. Tim Hardaway, Chris Bosh, and Alonzo Martinos. I love the NBA. What a sport. How do we feel about retiring jersey numbers, by the way? Because
as a Yankees fan, I feel great about it.
I'm very anti-retiring jersey numbers in general. I think the Yankees have painted themselves in a corner and they're screwed. Eventually you just run out of numbers.
The clock's ticking because the bar has gotten lower and lower for who gets their number retired. Although, like, we haven't won 5 World Series in 10 years like they did in the 90s, but that kind of validates it. Nobody's getting their number retired on the team right. Aaron Judge is the only guy on the team right now that's getting his number retired.
The whole NBA retired 6 too for Bill Russell.
Correct.
So that's going to be retirement. Like we're just going to run on. It's literally a numbers game. We're going to run out of numbers. I don't understand.
Korean baseball does 3-digit numbers on the back of the jersey. Just go with that.
We're going to have to. The Lakers have a Chick Hearn jersey. I was searching retired jerseys, and the picture of all the Lakers retired jerseys popped up. And Chick Hearn, the longtime announcer of the Lakers, they have a jersey, and then it says Hearn, and then it has a microphone on a jersey with a microphone. So I guess no one is allowed to use a microphone or that kind of microphone at Lakers games or something. I'm anti jersey retired in general. So yeah. I just want to go on record as saying that, but that's wild that Carmelo won't. He probably won't get his jersey retired anywhere then.
I guess if anywhere. It wouldn't be Denver, then probably nowhere.
Yeah, because the Knicks aren't retiring his jersey.
No, not if you don't win.
His jersey's got to be retired at Syracuse though.
They should just retire it at like the USA basketball facility.
He played for the Thunder for 1 year, the Rockets for a year, the Blazers for 2 years, the Lakers for a year.
Is it retired at Syracuse?
It's got to be, right? It's not? It's got to be. Carmelo. It's yeah, of course. Of course, yeah. They retired it in a halftime ceremony. What year was this? 2013. Yeah, it's been retired for 10 years. Yeah. That makes sense. So they did it on the 10-year anniversary of the title. Yeah, that makes sense. What else? Anything else? Any shout-outs? You got a shout-out?
Dude Perfect set the new world record for highest basketball shot ever made.
Like from
856 feet up.
What, they like went up in a hot air balloon or something?
They did it off the Strat Tower in Las Vegas.
Should I beat it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat it.
All right. I'm gonna throw it off the moon.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go beat that record.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna beat the record.
Probably do 900 feet.
I'm not proud of this, but I think I don't seek out Dude Perfect content, but I think I would watch it. Like, I think if Dude Perfect, like if you start playing a Dude Perfect video right now,
yeah,
I wouldn't probably turn it off. I would just like keep watching, and I know it's fun to rip on them, and they are dorks.
Yeah, they are.
But also, I'm just being honest. Like, if you were showing me like them throwing the ball off a tower in Vegas, I'd be like, yeah, I have to watch.
Their new videos are like movies too. Like, this is just, it's one shot that the video revolves around, but it's like a 20-minute video, and it's like a documentary about like the planning process and like the trials and tribulations and the failures, and it's pretty inspiring, honestly.
Do you know about Tristan Jass?
That's a YouTuber, yes.
Yeah, my old producer Jim Cunningham, good friend of mine, was obsessed with this kid Tristan Jass, who is Dude Perfect to Jayson, I would say. Yeah. Does trick shots, but he will make you very angry. He will make you. His trick shots are they're a different kind of dork. Tristan Jass and Dude Perfect. I don't know if they've ever collabed though, but Tristan Jass is getting like he'll like pop up on like NBA, like the NBA Instagram, like the official NBA Instagram will have T-Jass doing trick shots for him. I don't know how he got that gig, but like I guess you post enough videos of you, like he jumps up and like does between the legs and then throws a hook shot
like off a wall,
and then it bounces in. Yeah. Whereas Dude Perfect is more like, I'm gonna throw a football
through a car
window that goes, slightly different. Slightly different thing they're doing. But yeah, as much as I want to rip on Dude Perfect, I can't deny I would watch your video. So that's a me problem. Are we gonna, when we open up the thing in Chicago, is that the idea? Are we gonna have Dude Perfect Fridays or something?
I'd imagine during Viva hours we'll be seeing what we can accomplish on the basketball court. None of it will be impressive to anybody except us, I'm sure.
Oh my god. Anything else? Oh, happy birthday to my mom. My mom's birthday's today, the 23rd, May 23rd. Happy birthday to Purdue legend Laura Titus. Yeah, she listens to the show. Big fan of the show. Big fan of TJ's. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
So she's like, TJ seems nice, and I was like, yeah, he is, and that was about all she said. So, but that's a start.
Yeah.
It's a start. We're doing on Thursday. Big Indy 500 preview. We're locking in. I'm having a Spider on who does Rubbin' Is Racing, right? He does NASCAR stuff. Coca-Cola 600 is Sunday. Indy 500 is Sunday. And I was watching qualifying on Sunday, this past Sunday, for the Indy 500. And I am absolutely fired up for this race in a way that I have not been in a long time. Here's a little teaser for you, TJ. Fastest field of all time. I'm in. That's it. That's all that needs to be said. I had more, but we could just stop there. Last year, Scott Dixon set the pole record at 234 miles an hour. The top 3 guys all beat that record this year. So the third place guy this year would have set the record, but then the second place guy set the record, but then the first, yes. In 2021, 2 years ago, Scott Dixon also won the pole that year by going 231.8 miles an hour. That, for 4 laps, he averaged 231.8 miles an hour. That speed that he posted in 2021 that won the pole, that made him start from first position for the Indy 500 2 years ago, would make him start in 23rd position in this year's race.
Yeesh.
22 guys were faster than the pole sitter 2 years ago. That's how fast these dudes are going this year. So, there you go. There's your little teaser.
Why? Well, I don't know. I guess we'll save that for there. That seems like a long explanation. I like fast.
They're just going fast, man. They're what they're doing. So there's a pedal, and there's metal, and they're just pushing that bitch together, and they're putting that pedal. They're just going.
Sounds simple enough.
They're going balls out. They're going. They are. No, it's been crazy. The qualifying's crazy, and the race is going to be awesome. I'm fired up for it. So I'm gonna do a little racing thing because we got like fucking.
We got a week.
Assuming the Celtics lose, which even if they don't lose, they're gonna lose eventually. We got a week. We got to figure out something here. Anything else?
I just want to say 2 points of hate towards boxing officiating and the NIL system.
Okay, go ahead.
But the boxing just got another huge fight super wrong this weekend. Vasyl Lomachenko was brutally robbed against Devin Haney. Should have won, or at least it should have been close, and one of the referees had it like very much skewed towards Haney. Nobody thinks Haney won.
Is there a world where we could do away with judges in boxing?
I wish.
How would that work?
Fight until somebody gets knocked out.
So the answer is no, we couldn't.
Right. Yeah. It's so bad, and it's like this is not the first time in recent weeks that there's been like a really bad stoppage or something. Tony Weeks, who's a referee, stepped in and stopped a fight last week that was just like not anywhere near needing to be stopped, and like the announcers were like, "What is he doing? This is horrible." Like it's bad, and I don't know if it's like actually corrupt or if it's just if there's just issues internally, but it's just like very obviously an issue. And it makes the sport bad to watch, and it's why UFC is more popular.
Yeah. Like boxing, I feel like the entry point to boxing is that it's the most pure, naked form of sport that we have. It's two dudes just punching each other. Like it doesn't get this is as timeless of a sport that exists. I guess maybe like a race, right. A foot race might be more timeless, but otherwise, like that's what gets you into boxing. Is you're like, yes, I'm in. I want to watch two guys just punch the shit out of each other. But then once you're in, you realize that it's more like figure skating than it is fighting.
It's too dangerous to go for a big shot, so it's point boxing, and it's just like, hopefully these random guys sitting on the sidelines think I did good.
And it's like an art, and then you look to the judges, and you're like, did I do my art good? And they're like, pretty good art. And I'm like, what happened to the guys just blooding each other's faces? And you're saying that's UFC.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what UFC has become.
There's aspects of it in UFC too, but I don't know. It is a bummer as someone who grew up watching boxing.
I would love to love boxing, but yeah, it's
and then my NIL
should do a boxing show. We should do we should get me back into boxing. I would love to get back into boxing. I mean, I'm a child of the 90s, dude. I remember I was Iron Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Like, Lennox Lewis, like all those. Is it the heavyweight division? Is that the problem? Like the Klitschko brothers, they're done, right?
It's just like nobody wants to fight each other. Like they don't want to make the super fights because that jeopardizes each person's record and their marketability. So
Floyd ruined this because Floyd,
the promoters,
because Floyd Mayweather was like, I'm undefeated, and that became like his thing, and now everyone wants to be.
Everybody starts their career 21-0 with 21 knockouts somehow. It's like, who are you fighting? Like nobody's fighting anybody. That's why UFC's better, because you get like guys that are like, so do they two guys that are 9-0 with 9 knockouts fight each other.
What was this fight you were talking about that was bad?
Vasily Lomachenko versus Devin Haney for the unified whatever weight championship, 148, I think.
Was it 148? I think that's the problem too. I think like the general public,
like that division is stacked.
I know,
like
but
Shakur Stevenson's in that division. Tank Davis is going to come up and come and fight in that division. Like
in the same way that I can't talk you into Denver Miami finals. I think
I'm having trouble talking you into.
Well, you're not having. It's just like I think what will get America back into boxing is just two huge fucking dudes wailing on each other, trying to knock each other out. That's what they need. They need a fight like that, because that was when I was most into boxing. Was that Mike Tyson fighting literally anybody, but when he was fighting Holyfield and Lennox Lewis and those dudes, like that crop. And every time you turn on the fight, you thought they were trying to kill each other. That was awesome.
Former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou wants to box, and he wants to fight Deontay Wilder. So that's
Fury Wilder was a good one. I watched that one.
Great fight.
The first. They were both good.
Yeah,
weren't they?
They fought a couple of times, so they were both pretty.
They were both pretty good, right? But Mayweather kind of ruined it. And like I get Mayweather's. I respect his talent. I understand he was a good defensive boxer and all that. But like again, if we're talking about like capturing the casual audience, most of the people that watch those fights were like, this is boring as shit. To watch like a tiny dude. I know he can kick my ass. I'm not saying I beat his ass, but he's like 5'7", and he's just like bobbing and weaving. Like you turn on boxing because you want to watch like two guys that are like 290 with like biceps that are bigger than my thighs, just wailing on each other. That's what I want to see. And unfortunately, you get judges involved. Okay, good. What was the other thing?
My NIL point was we got Cam Spencer stolen from us.
Oh, that's right. We haven't talked about that.
Disaster. Absolute disaster.
What's the story there? He was
in the gym. He was in the gym with Ron Harper and Geo Baker at Rutgers on Friday. Saturday he was in the portal. They didn't tell anybody. Didn't give a chance for a rebuttal. Sounds like he got home from school and there was an offer waiting for him at home. Ant Wright tweeted something about like if you knew the true story behind this, you would throw up. I don't know if you can like hit his DMs or something. I need to get Ant back on the show because
I do love Ant, and I love he's an incredible Twitter follower, and I love having him on the show, and I find him very valuable.
Yeah.
But if there's one critique I would have of him is he does do a little he's got the Ime Udoka coverage vibe to him, where
loves an eye emoji. Ron Harper Jr.
Where I just go crazy. I'm like, tell us what you know, because you know something.
Ron Harper responded and said, tampering, lying, and cheating, one hell of a combo. So the name most associated that I'm seeing is Ed Cooley.
That son of a bitch.
And Georgetown plays at Rutgers this season.
Oh no! When Spencer hit the portal, IU, there's a little IU chatter because IU still has one spot, and Cam Spencer would fit perfectly.
It sounds like the Blue Buds are invested now. At least Reek said Kentucky reached out. I think like Michigan, right? I don't like.
Brandon told me that Tolu Smith just announced he's coming back to Mississippi State, and he saw someone.
Yeah, Kentucky, a potential
but you know
target.
How Brandon works
Kentucky.
too. Like Brandon will see literally one tweet from one person, and he'll be like, "All these Kentucky fans are saying." So I didn't know, but the way he told the story was that Tolu Smith was referred to as a Kentucky target when he never once entered the portal and never once. But I do think there's a little truth to that. That like anybody that's averaged more than 15 points a game, or starts for a high major team even.
Yeah. It's just like Cam was our best shooter this year, but he also had like a full month where he went completely dry. So I don't know if he's like at the level of like a Kentucky or even an Indiana like starter.
Kentucky would be a horrendous decision for him. He should not do Kentucky.
It sucks, but that's the game now. Like Indiana obviously was offered a huge bag, and that's like I guess good for you.
Yeah, it depends on what he's asked to do. Because if he's, I don't. He had to carry Rutgers' offense at times, and that's not. You can't do that.
If he's staying in the Big Ten, he's dead to me. But if he goes elsewhere, have a good life, I guess. Maybe
if he goes elsewhere and then goes on to have a good, if he goes to the NBA, it probably ends up on the Heat as an undrafted guy and is killing it for the Heat. Yeah. You will claim him as a Rutgers alum.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. You'll always have the Purdue shot.
He beat Purdue, on the road.
So, there you go. My final shout out, I saw the Sports Emmys were tonight, and we didn't win. We weren't even nominated. And I
Sports Center won.
Did it really?
They win like every year.
Did the BPI win? I was nominated last year. I lost to. I gotta look up what I lost to. I keep telling the story on the show, but I forget what I lost to. I think I lost to. I think it ended up being inside the NBA. I think we were up against Nickelodeon Slime when Nickelodeon slimed an NFL game. It was the literal slime that was nominated. It was a climb to Mount Everest, and then it was like inside the NBA something or other. And I lost, but ever since then it's haunted me, and I've wanted to win a Sports Emmy. And I was just thinking, we have two objectives now on the show, and one is to beat Dude Perfect's record, and the other is to win a Sports Emmy.
Yep.
So we got to figure out as a collective what Sports Emmy we're going to try to win, because I was getting FOMO tonight seeing people talking about all the sports, because that's the thing. The Sports Emmys is like, if you work in sports media for 10 years. You will get an Emmy at some point, and if you don't, you're a failure. And I don't know. I've been in this business for, I guess it's 13 years now, TJ. So I feel like a failure. You know what I mean? And I think we got to fix that. And also, if I could, has anyone at Jeff D. Lowe's won an Emmy, right? But not has anyone worked at Barstool won an Emmy?
I think we somehow either don't qualify for the Sports Emmys or don't apply for the Sports Emmys. I can't tell which.
Probably,
but
we don't.
Every single person that works here that previously worked at MLB Network has at least one Emmy. Half of our production department has Emmys because they all got poached from the MLB Network.
All right,
Jeff got them from Good Morning America.
View the nominees release. Okay, Sports Emmys release. This was where's the list? All right, nominations. What the hell, dude? 50. Oh my God. Nominee release. ESPN was nominated for 59. NBC was nominated for 38. I'm scrolling. Yeah, 0 Barstool, dude. We just got to get nominated. Get us. I'll settle for that, dude. I just got to be nominated again.
I feel like there's a television requirement that we won't be able to meet.
Sports Emmys categories.
Like we have to
that is true. I guess
to win an Oscar, your movie has to air in theaters for at least 2 weeks.
This is a great point. I guess the Emmys are television awards.
So we need a television network that will commit to putting this show on air.
Okay. Outstanding live sports special, live sports series, playoff coverage, event coverage, special, edited series, esports championship coverage, short documentary, long. Just make a document. Just make a short documentary, dude. Documentary series, serialized documentary series, outstanding open/tease. That feels easy. That feels like a 3-minute thing we just put together. Just a tease. We just make an outstanding tease.
There is an outstanding personality / play-by-play person. That might be
Jake
what
Marsh.
You qualify for. You're a personality.
I am, dude. We could do the Barstool Classic college basketball deal.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Jake Marsh get nominated.
Mike Breen won it this year, so that's who you're up against.
I don't know, man. I think we're right there. Outstanding journalism, probably not winning that one. Long feature, short feature, outstanding studio show in Spanish. Outstanding interactive experience. I think that might have been outstanding digital innovation. I think that might have been what I was nominated for last year. Outstanding. I don't even know, dude. That's what's funny about it. I didn't even realize I was nominated till the night before the Emmys. Someone at Fox was like, by the way, we're nominated. Outstanding public service announcement / campaign. I think we could win that. I think we figure out the issue of the day. We put out a PSA. I feel like we could win that. I gotta look up the other winners of that. Of who's won that before.
Outstanding digital innovation this year was McEnroe versus McEnroe.
I didn't watch that. We could win that, right?
We need to innovate.
We got to innovate. McEnroe, I mean, that is good innovation to have. I assume John McEnroe was talking to himself or playing himself in a tennis match. Yeah. Outstanding on-air personality in Spanish would be fun to go for.
Sergio Dip.
Sergio Dip. Yeah. What's he up to? Yeah, I don't think it's happening. I guess. I think the move is. Outstanding open/tease. I think we figure out what we're teasing and what we're opening, but that's like a 3-minute deal, dude. We just put together like a. But I don't know how that works on this show. I don't
just
know.
Put a month of effort into the opening of like one single podcast episode or something.
We just have
cinematic.
It's a random like off-season show. It like doesn't even lead into like the Final Four show or anything special. It's the middle of July and we have a 3-minute cold open. All right, I think that's it. Do we have anything else? That's it.
For the record, those spoilers at the beginning of the episode were not real. Just so nobody can say that we spoiled anything. Yeah, I didn't spoil the dozen. But at the same time, we are going to win the whole goddamn thing. So I guess I kind of did just spoil it. So yeah. Yeah, we'll be back Thursday. I'm having Spider's going to join. I'm going to try to get a few other people around here. I want to have a fun, little different show because talking about the playoffs when there's 2 sweeps going on is not as enticing as I was hoping it would be, but Spider will be fun. So we'll do that Thursday. See you guys then.